Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cooper of Cooper's Mobile Mechanics, and today I'm going to be doing a wet belt on this Vauxhall Corsa. Now this has got the 1.2 turboed engine, engine code HN05. The procedure, very slightly different for the turboed engine compared to the non-turboed engine. Really just about where you put the timing tools, they're just slightly different on the cams. First thing as always, I just want to check for fault codes in the ECU. There's no faults in there, which is good. Obviously now I know when I do the job, if I then recheck after and there are fault codes in there, then I know that it's something I've done, left something unplugged, something, hopefully just something simple like that. But with any luck, once we've done the job, we'll check again and there'll be nothing stored in there. So now I'm just going to get the engine nice and warm. I'm going to jack it up and I'm going to start off by draining the oil and removing the sump just to have a look at the strainer and see if that's got any blockages. As always with these jobs, I'm using a genuine kit. So it comes in a box and it is a kit that you can use for both the turboed engine and the non-turboed engine. So it's got a little sticker there to put your date and mileage on. It comes with the timing belt, got the crankshaft seal, you've got the water pump belt, then you've got rocker cover gaskets for both the turboed and the non-turboed type. You've got the gasket which goes on the timing cover, and then obviously you've got your tensioner, you've got bolts, you've got some caps that go over that you need to get to for the cams, various other gaskets and nuts and bolts that you need. So for the price of this kit, you would imagine a genuine kit will be quite expensive. It's really not that bad at all. If you were to go non-genuine route, and if you would have to get the timing belt kit, the water pump belt, everything that comes with this, if you were to price that up individually, non-genuine, I guarantee it'll probably be nearly twice as much as what this genuine kit is, and if this comes with everything that you need. So I always think with these PSA engines, 100% worth getting the genuine kit for these. Okay, so I've drained the oil off. I've put the sump plug back in with a new washer, taking off the oil filter, and while that's just dripping and doing its thing, start removing this sump. So you've just got a load of 8mm bolts all around here. Just want to get those off and then try and prise this sump off. Alright, sump's off. Let's have a look inside here and see. Whoa! Look at all of those bits of belt in there. It's quite bad, that one. I've had a couple of these PSA engines where there's been nothing in there, but this one, pretty bad. Right. Get that all cleaned up, so there's no more belt in there. Then we'll get the sump back on, and then we can tackle the timing belt. Alright, that's looking much better in there now. We've just cleaned up all around here where the sump's going to go on. Cleaned up the sump as well. So I just got to get some sealant on there, stick it on. The sump's on and the new oil filter's on. So I'm not going to fill it up with oil just yet, because I want to give the sealant enough time to cure. So now I can crack on with the fun bit, doing the timing belt. So what I want to do up here is basically, I want to get the rocker cover off, to give me access to the belt, also give me access to get everything timed up. So I just want to get the pipe work out first. So I'm going to get this pipe off here. So we've got two 10mm there, clip on here, clip on there, and then just release these. I can get that off. I'll have to take this pipe off here. Again, 10mm there, Jubilee clip, and then that should pop out here. I'm going to take this pipe off, but I'll do that and then I'll show you the next stages. Now I'm going to get the airbox backing out of the way. So I've got 13mm bolt there and there, and then I'll take the pipe off from here. You've got a 10mm. I can get that all out of the way because I'm going to need to gain access here to time it up. Put this pipe off, get out the clip. Part of the reason I wanted to get this backing out the way, one, because I need to get the rocker cover off anyway, But also I want to be able to get down to the dephaser, which is hidden down here. So you got one for the exhaust side here, and then one for the inlet side over there. Obviously the strainer was all full of bits of belt, and I've seen these, although it hasn't logged a fault. Usually it logs a fault, you'll get like intake dephaser locked, something like that. But they can get bunged up with bits of belt as well. So I'm going to whip those out and just see if they've got any debris on them, and I can clean them out if they have. That's the exhaust side. So here it's like a little sort of almost like a sieve. So they're called the dephasers. They're basically the variable valve timing solenoids. You can see this one is nice and clean. So it's only taken me like a minute to get it out. It's just one bolt. It's just down in there. So I think when doing these belts, it's definitely worth taking them out just to check. So I'll stick this one back in, and then I'll have a look at the intake side, see what that's like. Intake one's got just a little bit on there, you see. Not bad enough to be causing any issues at the minute. I've seen them where sort of all the way around, it's like a band, you can just lift the whole lot off. Obviously we'll clean it up while we're there. Alright, now I'm going to take the coils out, and then I should be able to get the rocker cover off, which is basically just a load of 8mm all around here. Should be able to get it out and slide it away. Covers off, and you can see the belt, and you can see why we're changing it. So I serviced this a couple of weeks ago, and you can see when you take the oil cap off, you can see the belt inside. I'll notice that it was all cracked along here. So yeah, obviously the strainer being all blocked up, it's a good job of replacing it today. Right, so now back underneath, I'll just turn the engine over, and I've got my flywheel locking tool locked in place there, and I've got the locking tool just sitting in place for the inlet camshaft. Now I want to go over to the back of the engine, remove the vacuum pump, and I'll have a locking tool that will bolt into the back here. So with that removed, you can see the back of the cam there. So you've got a couple of notches here, and then I've got this tool that will slot into place and then just bolt it up. So you just use two of the bolts for the vacuum pump, that one and that one. Put that in place there, bolt it in, and then I will bolt this one in place as well. Now I'm going to get the auxiliary belt off. So just wind the tensioner over until, see those two top little holes there, line those up, get a pin in. So I can get the auxiliary belt off. Got to get that water pump belt off. I can just cut that because I'm going to be getting a new one. And then I can get this crankshaft pulley off with the 6 13mm bolts around the edge. Now I've just got the little timing cover. So we've got 4 10mm bolts. Get that off there, and you can get to the tension arm roller and things like that. So now I want to take off the little idler roller on the right there. Take the tensioner off as well. Before we do that, you can just see the little marks on the tensioner. Just remember that. So obviously that's where we want to put it when we put the new belt and tensioner on. And then I want to take out the sprocket for the crankshaft, take the seal off, so we're going to be replacing that. Now I'm going to flick out these 2 plugs, simply because they kind of get in the way, so getting those out will just give you enough space to get the belt out. Alright, so now I've got the new belt in on the top. It's quite tight getting the belt in and out, to be fair, but it is doable. So I've got them in at the top. Now with the belt kind of floating around at the bottom, I want to get the gear wheel in there. Obviously the belt will go this side of it. I'll pop that in there, and then it'll all kind of be loosely fitted in for now. And I want to put my crankshaft sprocket in as well, which locates in a certain way. So you've got a tab there, which goes sort of on the left hand side. It'll all be quite clear when you're doing it. So I've got the idler roller in, that's tight. I've got the tensioner in loosely, and I've got the bottom gear wheel on loosely as well. So now I want to turn the tensioner over, get that tensioned up and tightened up, and then I can get everything else tightened up. Right, so I'll just turn the engine over a couple of times, and then I've put all the timing pins back in, just making sure it's all in time, and also just checking the tensioner, making sure that's where it should be. Now I can put the timing cover back on, get the new crankshaft seal on, get the crankshaft pulley on, basically just build it all back in reverse order. Everything's together under here now, so just put the timing cover on, got the crankshaft pulley on. Then before putting the auxiliary belt on, put the water pump belt on. It's a little stretch belt, so you want to hook it on the crankshaft pulley first and then turn the engine over, and you can just use your fingers just to guide it over onto the water pump there. Quite easy to get on, to be fair. So yeah, now everything's done under here. I can now tackle the top. So I want to get the rocker cover on first. I've got stuck a new gasket on there, so I'll pop that on, get the vacuum pump on. Again, I've got another gasket for that as well. That'll bolt on the side there, and then just getting everything back all together really. Right, that I believe is everything, other than maybe the most important thing you don't want to forget is fill it full of oil, and then I can get it all run up. I've left the under tray and the wheel arch liner off. I've just left those off for now, so I'll leave it running. Check for any oil leaks, check the fault memory, just make sure no faults come up, and then take it for a road test. And that should be done. Got it up and running for about 20 minutes now. No signs of any oil leaks, which is a good sign. Also checked the crankshaft seal, so I've replaced that. That's not leaking either. So I can get the under tray and the wheel arch liner on, give it a road test, and then head home. So I've been for a road test, and then just one last thing, just check the fault memory again. I like to check it every so often, just keep checking, just make sure there's no faults come up. Obviously before I do the job, after I do the job, then again after I've done the road test as well. But everything's looking good, and that's job done really. So that is basically how to do the wet belt on a 1.2 PSA engine. So same as on the Vauxhall Corsas, the Peugeot sort of 3008, 5008, Citroens have them as well. Again, like I always say, this isn't exactly a how-to guide. I'm not telling you exactly how to do the job. I do them by following the repair instructions, but there may be other little ways of doing it. Certain things, some people may not like take certain components off, or they might take something else off just to make life a little bit easier for them. That's just how I do the job anyway. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.